I'm so mad. I'm so angry. Why would you eat it? Be so for real right now. You're kissing. And she was lying. Colleen, babe, how did this come from your brain? Hey, Amelia. So I recently went to visit my mom in Vermont. I did decide to read Colleen Hoover on the plane. For the vibes, okay? For the vibes. I decided to read Verity by Colleen Hoover. This book made me so angry, like words cannot even describe. I have been telling every person in my life to read it simply because I cannot suffer alone. I don't think that I have the words to describe how truly chaotic this book is. It was fucking crazy. Let's get one thing goddamn straight. This cover art is the best of any Colleen Hoover book. Not to hate on cover artists, I'm sure you're doing your best, but the rest of Colleen Hoover's catalog, the cover art is bad, and that's just the truth. Colleen Hoover's covers are ugly. This one, I think, is pretty okay. For the uninitiated, this is Colleen Hoover's take on like a horror thriller, also / romance. As I am currently, I have not read a bunch of horror or thriller books. I also just don't like to be scared. Standalone romantic thriller is what the back cover describes it as. So, we open. Car crash. The main character, whose name is Lowen, she has a last name, I don't remember it. She is being splattered by some rando guy's blood. I hear the crack of his skull before the spattering of blood reaches me. That's a great opening sentence. Ooh, I'm invested. Unfortunately, she's on her way to a very important meeting, and so she's wearing like a blouse. It gets covered in like brain matter, blood everywhere. This is a great start to this book. So she goes into this coffee shop to like change. Some random guy like follows her into the bathroom. He offers to give her his shirt, which is very kind, except for the fact that he literally is a stranger and he literally locked himself in the bathroom with her. That's scary. He heads for the door, but instead of giving me privacy while I stand here in my least attractive bra, he locks us inside the bathroom so no one will walk in on me while I'm shirtless. It's disturbingly chivalrous and leaves me feeling uneasy. This guy's whole deal is very sad. His name is Jeremy. They're gabbing. They're hanging out. She's changing. We learn that Lowen's mother had cancer and Lowen has been taking care of her, and she died literally last week. And this guy, Jeremy, he says, I pulled my 8-year-old daughter's body out of a lake 5 months ago. So they're both really going through it. Also, Jeremy is wearing a wedding ring. He's married. So this is not like a meet cute situation. He's simply attempting to be kind and helpful. Lowen lives in the Big Apple, NYC, baby. She's an author. She's published, I think, 2 books. The thing is, though, is that since she's been taking care of her mom, she hasn't been doing a lot of writing. Her advance is running out. So she basically has no money. This meeting she was going to this morning with her book agent, it's like for a very exciting, lucrative deal that her agent has been in talks with, but it's all very secretive. Also, Lowen has like a weird sexual relationship with her agent, which is pretty non-consequential, doesn't come up really at all after the first 15 pages. So I have to question, why was it included? It adds nothing to the plot. So after Lowen has this terrible, horrible, traumatic morning where she literally watched a man die, his insides are on her shirt, she goes to this important meeting. And guess who the meeting is with? Obviously, it's with the guy from the fucking bathroom, because of course it is. Here's the deal. Jeremy's wife is named Verity. She is a very famous author. She's in the middle of writing this book series that's about like the 7 deadly sins, and each book is from the perspective of a personified one of the sins. Verity wrote, I think, the first 4 books, and then she got into a car accident. Jeremy and I think maybe Verity's book agent have come to Lowen asking her to write the rest of the series. Our goal is to bring in a writer who's willing to step in, finish the series, complete the book tours, press releases, and whatever else is normally required of Verity. This does not sound like Lowen's idea of a good time. She's a very antisocial author. She's like, I don't really want to. But then she learns that she will be paid $75,000 per book, and there's 3 books left in the series. She has no money because she's been taking care of her mom. She's almost about to get evicted from her apartment. The situation is dire for Lowen. So Lowen hears this and she's like, thank you so much for the offer. I'm actually not interested in that. That doesn't sound like my idea of a good time. So they're meeting with like obviously agents and lawyers present and publicists, and it's like a whole thing. And Jeremy is like, can I have a moment alone with Lowen? Jeremy says that Verity read Lowen's books and really, really liked them. And that's why he decided to ask Lowen. She's the only person that he wants to do this project. So he's basically like, you can ask for as much money as possible and we will say yes. He says, the lawyer is lowballing you. Tell your agent to ask for $500,000. Tell them you'll do it with no press, under a pen name, with an ironclad non-disclosure. That way, whatever it is you're trying to hide can stay hidden. She asks for $500,000. Verity had apparently lots of notes about the entire series. And Jeremy has asked Lowen to move into his home for a couple days to look through all of Verity's notes. So she says yes, she's going to Vermont. Lowen rents a Kia Soul to drive the 6 hours from New York to Vermont. I have a personal vendetta against the Kia Soul as a concept. This is a hill that I will forever die on. Cars are shaped the way that they are for a reason. Why did we all collectively decide in 2012, 2013 to start making square cars? The blind spots in a Kia Soul are wild. Kia Souls are bad drivers, but it's because they have the world's largest blind spot. If you drive a Kia Soul, why? And do you know that you look stupid, and are you insecure about it? Be so honest with me right now. I hate Kia Souls so much. Kia Soul, Nissan Cube, just generally if the car is square, I don't like it. I don't trust it, and in fact, I feel passionate hatred towards it. Anyway, so Lowen rents a Kia Soul to drive to Vermont. So she pulls up to this house. It's fully a haunted house. The vibes are so creepy. She goes, my mother used to say that houses have a soul, and if that's true, the soul of Verity Crawford's house is as dark as they come. So she's sitting in her goddamn Kia Soul that she rented, reading articles on Verity's car crash, and a child knocks on her window. So this is a child who is probably 5 years old, Jeremy's son. His name is Crew. He's named Crew because he was conceived in a canoe and they wanted a nautical themed name, and you went with Crew? He's Jeremy and Verity's youngest child. He has just experienced both of his older sisters dying. The first one was allergic to peanuts and fucking died, and the second one drowned. And so this child is dealing with a lot. And Lowen goes, I don't want to call him an asshole. He's a little kid and he's been through a lot, but I think he might be an asshole. What? I've never once ever in my entire life looked at a child and been like, that kid's an asshole. What? It's a kid. That's a 5-year-old. 5-year-olds do not have the capacity to be assholes. So here's the thing. Lowen is living in their home, and for some godforsaken reason, she is sleeping in Jeremy and Verity's marital bed. I hope it's not weird, but I'm giving you the master bedroom. We all sleep upstairs now, and I thought it would be easier because it's the closest room to her office. When she goes into the room, there's teeth marks on the headboard. I think I would rather sleep on the floor. The reason for all of this secrecy around Verity and the car crash and why they're bringing in Lowen is because Verity is completely unresponsive. Okay, what's the word for it? She's not in a coma, but she's awake, but she's completely unresponsive as a result of this car crash. So that's why they need another author to come in to finish the series, because it, really doesn't seem like Verity's going to be getting better at any time soon. But they're also keeping it so hush-hush about it. Nobody can know that Verity is in this state. Not even their friends know that Verity is not going to be getting better. I don't know why. I don't think it's ever explained why. I'm assuming that it's because of the book deal that they're going to try to finish out the series. Anyway, the point is Verity is still alive, but completely unresponsive. They have nurses who come in and care for her, and Lowen thinks this is very spooky scary. Also, fun fact about Lowen, she, throughout her childhood, dealt with sleepwalking, so she needs a lock on her door, and there is no lock on the master bedroom door. Also, her mom, for some reason, hated her because she was a sleepwalker. It's all very strange. When has a Colleen Hoover book ever made sense, truthfully? The next day, Lowen starts digging through Verity's notes for the book series. There is so much to go through. While she's digging through Verity's office, Lowen finds a hidden manuscript, and this manuscript is an autobiography of Verity's life. Since the whole reason that Lowen is here is to get into the brain of Verity to write a book as her, she's let me read this autobiography to try to see if I can understand Verity a bit better. So from here on out, every couple chapters of the main book is interspersed with a chapter of the manuscript. It takes Lowen a long time to read this manuscript. I think it takes her a couple weeks, genuinely. Spoiler alert, Lowen ends up staying at the house for way longer than just a couple days. But she's a literal author, so I'm assuming she's literate. So why does it take her so goddamn long to read this? And it's like not hard to read the way it's written. And it's full of some of the hottest gossip in the goddamn world. So the autobiography opens with like an author's note from Verity, basically being like, most people try to make themselves look good when they write a memoir, but I'm just gonna tell you the truth. And I'm not gonna try to make myself look good. And in fact, this is gonna make me look pretty fucking bad. The thing I abhor most about autobiographies are the counterfeit thoughts draped over every sentence. A writer should never have the audacity to write about themselves unless they're willing to separate every layer of protection between the author's soul and their book. The book was actually written after both of the kids died. Also, the daughters' names are Chasten and Harper. Harper is a very normal name. Chasten? Not to speak ill of the dead, especially a child, but what the fuck is the name Chasten? So the book starts with the night Verity and Jeremy met. Basically, they're at a party for rich people, but they had both kind of snuck in. They were not invited to this party. Neither of them are wealthy. Verity kind of makes herself out to be this like conniving, manipulative bitch who's just trying to get Jeremy to sleep with her. It's very strange. Also, there's like this picture painted that Jeremy worships the ground that Verity walks on. So they like sleep together this first night after the party, start dating, they move in together. But Jeremy like is so in love with Verity and she loves him for it. Like the reason she loves Jeremy is because he loves her. Not a healthy relationship. I needed to please him. I needed to be what made him smile, breathe, wake up in the mornings. And for a while I was. He loved me more than he loved anything or anyone. I was his sole reason for living until he discovered the one thing that meant more to him than I did. This autobiography, it gives all of the details about Verity and Jeremy's sex life and peace and love. I don't need to hear about that. I would never, ever want to read a memoir that had like graphic sex scenes. It just feels like the wrong place and time for that sort of thing. I'm sorry if that's weird. I just can't get behind it. You know that video of Sarah Paulson where she's like, I don't need to know about that. You keep that to yourself. That's the energy I'm coming into this book with. I don't need to hear about your sex life from your memoir. Verity writes about how a few months after they meet, Jeremy asks her to move in with him, and she had actually already not re-signed her lease, and so she was already technically living with Jeremy, but he didn't know. And so when he's like, we should move in together, she's like, haha, actually, we already are living together. I don't have a house anymore. And obviously he's pissed because, respectfully, that's a decision you have to make together. By sort of inviting yourself into his home, you have taken away his agency, and that's a dick move. I don't actually remember how they resolve it. He ends up reading the manuscript for her first book in the series that she ended up writing. He loves it so much, and he's like, wow, you're so smart and amazing and talented. And then they have unprotected sex, and then he proposes during the unprotected sex, and then also that's the night that they conceive their twin daughters. So it's a lot. Big day for Jeremy and Verity. So back in the regular world, back in Vermont, after reading the first couple chapters of the autobiography, Lowen comes down and has dinner with Jeremy. He starts calling her by a nickname. He starts calling her Lo, which is like a cute little shortening of her name. But I cannot stress this enough. She is an employee of yours that you have just met. She's a contracted employee. You're paying her a lot of money, and you also don't know her. Like, you have not spoken to her in like a casual social context. I just feel like the nickname is a little far for me personally. The next morning, Lowen is in Verity's office doing God knows what, because I know it's not the work that she's being paid for. She sees through like the big windows in the office, Verity is being tended by a nurse outside on the like porch, I guess. Lowen is like, wow, that's so sad. It would probably have been better if she just fucking died. You don't know her like that. That's not your place. But Lowen starts to feel really spooked by Verity. She feels like Verity's eyes are following her, even though they're literally not. Also, Lowen frequently drinks a lot and also takes a lot of Xanax. So she's not always in the like most clear-headed space. Okay, but then, so Lowen is in the office. She gets a call from this apartment that she had recently been approved for. So she's moving out of her old apartment because she couldn't afford it. The reason she was staying at her old apartment was because her mom had lived there and her mom didn't want to leave this apartment. So as soon as her mom died, she applied for another apartment. She got approved, but she couldn't afford to pay the rent on her first apartment. So she got evicted from the first apartment. So she gets a phone call while she's in Vermont from the new apartment where they're like, hey, sorry, we just had a recent eviction come up on your record. We can't rent to people with recent evictions. Sorry. That's tough. And then what's even more tough is that Jeremy's on the other side of the door to like invite her down to lunch or something. I don't fucking know. And so he heard the whole conversation. He's like, wow, I'm so sorry to hear that. You can stay here until you are able to find a new place. Like, there's still lots of work to get done on the books. Like, you can stay here for as long as you need. I personally think I would feel a little bit uncomfortable with that. Do you not have friends in the city whose couches you can stay on until you find somewhere else? You know, whatever you gotta do. She's in a bit of an impossible situation right now. Later on, maybe it's the next day, Lowen is once again staring out of these windows, spying on the goings-on of this family. And she sees Crew is hanging out with Jeremy, and they're playing like out in they also have like a lake on the property. They're hanging out there. And then Crew like waves towards the house. Lowen waves back. Turns out the window to the office is right next to the window to Verity's bedroom. Crew is obviously waving towards his mom's bedroom. He's not waving at this rando lady living in your house. So Lowen is like, why is he waving at Verity's window? Is she sitting there? Is she peering out through the window? Is she lying about being comatose? I don't think you can lie about that. But she goes into Verity's room to like check on her. She's still normal, but the TV is off. The nurse who had left for the weekend or the day or whatever told Lowen that she had left Verity's TV on. The TV is off. Lowen is like, ooh, this is spooky. To cope with the spookiness, she decides to read another chapter of Verity's memoir. Verity, in the memoir, very pregnant. She's got twin girls. Fun fact about Verity, she is not the maternal type at all. In fact, she hates the fact that she is pregnant. You will find, as I talk about the memoir more, Verity is insane. She is a terrible person and just like overall fucking nuts, okay? She's afraid that Jeremy is going to love their children more than he loves her. And so I cannot deal with this. She tries to like coat hanger abortion herself. Like, she sticks like a coat hanger up her cooter to try to like miscarry. It doesn't work. And all the while, Jeremy is oblivious to all of this. He's just like happily asleep in their bed. He thinks that Verity is happy about being pregnant. It's crazy. So obviously reading about this freaks Lowen out pretty bad. She heads downstairs to like have some drink of alcohol, an alcoholic beverage, and she's full on creeping on some family photos downstairs. And then Jeremy shows up, and so she asks him about these family photos. Lowen can see in the family pictures that Chasten has like a little scar on her face. So she asks Jeremy about it. She's like, hey, what's that from? And he's like, oh, like she was born with it. The doctor said it was blah, 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 blah. Also, Jeremy tells her that he ended up putting a lock on Lowen's bedroom. She goes upstairs, locks herself in the bedroom, you know, on account of the sleepwalking, and goes to bed. The next day, the press release comes out about Lowen co-writing the rest of Verity's series. She uses a pen name, obviously, like we had talked about in the beginning. She goes by Laura Chase. A nom de plume, if you will. There's a lot of hater-ass bitches in the comment section of this press release. People are like, why would Verity get someone else to help her write this book? She's gonna ruin the series, blah, 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 blah. Lowen is sad, which is crazy because, like, you have no stake in this. There's nothing tying you back to this project, so, like, why do you give a fuck? And so Jeremy's like, Verity always taught me never read the comments. They're never positive. Later that day, Jeremy and Lowen go to Target together because Lowen needs tampons and, like, socks and stuff. Jeremy runs into some friends while they're at the Target. He introduces his friends to Lowen using her pseudonym. He's like, this is my friend Laura Chase. She's staying with us for a while her and Verity write the next few books. The friends are like, oh, is Verity feeling better? Like, can we come visit? And he's like, haha, she's busy right now, because nobody in their life knows. But for some godforsaken, god-awful reason, which we should have all seen coming, but I'm stupid, I guess, Lowen starts to have a silly little crush on Jeremy. I can't stop staring at him as he runs his credit card. I feel something. I'm not sure what. A crush? That would make complete sense. I would develop a crush on a man who is so devoted to his ailing wife that he's blind to see anyone or anything else. Go off, girl. Honestly, it's your life. Do whatever you need to do. It's now been 5 days since Lowen arrived in Vermont. She's like hanging out in the office doing some work. She hears a scream coming from Verity's room. It's Crew. He cut himself on a knife in Verity's room. He goes, Mommy said I'm not supposed to touch her knife. Lowen is like, hello, what? She goes, Crew, I say, grabbing a washcloth. It feels like my heart is stuck in my throat as I speak to him, but I try to hide my fear as I wet the washcloth. Does your mommy talk to you? And right before Crew is able to say anything, Jeremy runs in and is like, what happened? And she's like, he cut himself on a knife in Verity's bedroom. So Jeremy is like, go get the knife and I will patch Crew up. Lowen goes into Verity's room. No knife to be seen. It's gone. She goes back to Jeremy and is like, I swear to God I saw a knife. It's not anywhere. So Jeremy looks around. He doesn't see it either. He's like, whatever. we can deal with this later. The whole thing about Verity's series is that she writes from the villain's perspective, which is like groundbreaking for some reason. It's like, wow, never been done before. And Lowen is like, oh my God. She like suddenly has this crazy realization. She's like, Verity writes from the perspective of the villain because she is the villain, because in this memoir, she's like a shit ass, awful, horrible person. So she reads another chapter of the memoir. After the coat hanger incident, Verity tries a few other things to try to like, end her pregnancy. None of it works. So she ends up giving birth to 2 healthy baby girls. The one has the tiny little scar. And she's like, can you bring me the scarred one? Which is like crazy way to refer to your children. So the doctors told Verity that the reason Chasten had a little scratch was because Harper had like scratched her in the womb. And so she's looking at this little tiny baby with a scar on her face. She's like, I'm gonna give you the better name because your sister was mean to you. The better name is Chasten? Sorry, you were choosing between Harper and Chasten and you picked Chasten as the better option? You're crazy. So they're sitting there in like the hospital room. Jeremy goes, I've never loved anything this much. Did you think you were capable of loving someone so much? Obviously, this goes over so well with Verity. And she's like, I rolled my eyes and thought to myself, I have loved someone this much, Jeremy. You, for 4 years. Thanks for noticing. I cannot emphasize this enough. This woman is like almost comically bad. She is such a terrible person that it's hard to take it seriously. It's funny how awful she is. It really feels like satire. This feels like a parody of like dark romance, like sort of horror thriller romance books. Like it seemed almost like it was making fun of these tropes, but actually it's just riding so hard for these fucking tropes that it's comical. Once again, Lowen is creeping out on the family photos like a fucking creep. She asks Jeremy why Harper never smiles in any pictures, and Jeremy tells Lowen that Harper is on the autism spectrum, but he doesn't say that. He says she has Asperger's, which this book was written in 2018. Asperger's has not been like a thing since I think 2013. We all know that it's just autism spectrum disorder. It's not like Asperger's and then autism. It hasn't been for a long time. Colleen, babe, what are you doing? You didn't need to do that. Chasten died from eating a peanut. Harper drowned in the lake, and then Verity got into a car accident. So this family cannot catch a fucking break. Like, things just keep happening to them. And Lowen is like, how you holding up, Jeremy? Like, how are things for you? He doesn't break eye contact, doesn't skip a beat. My world was turned upside down when Chasten died, and then when Harper died, it ended completely. He looks back down at the box of pictures. When I got the call about Verity, the only thing left in me was to feel anger. I was angry at Verity. And Lowen is like, wow, he thinks that she hit that tree on purpose, which is not what he said, first of all. And then they have this like weirdly intimate hug that's just way too close for the kind of relationship they have had up to this point. The strength in his hug eases, and at some point we're no longer hugging. We're holding each other, feeling the weight of how long it's been since either of us has probably felt this. I feel all of his hesitation as his hand slowly moves to the back of my head. She is a messy bitch. That's so messy. He's married. His poor, poor wife, who, yes, is a bad person. But he doesn't know that. She's like in the other room. She's upstairs. So the next day, Jeremy and Crew are hanging out again, and Crew is like, why don't we ever go to McDonald's anymore? Like, we used to go all the time before my sisters died, and that makes Jeremy really sad. So he's like, sure, let's go to McDonald's today. Obviously, because he's like a kind person, he invites Lowen. So she starts engaging with this family and with like Crew and Jeremy as though she is part of it. You're getting into creepo territory. I have to warn you. It's starting to get a little weird, and it's becoming this whole mess. Like, she's getting really entrenched in this family. It's like she's playing house with this poor grieving family. She goes back and reads more of the manuscript. I flip through the pages of Verity's manuscript, hoping to find an intimate scene with Jeremy. I'm not sure what kind of person that makes me in this moment, because reading this is wrong on so many levels, but it isn't as wrong as crossing the line with him would physically be. I would argue that it's worse. In my opinion, I really truly think if you just slept with him in real life, that would be less weird than reading his wife's autobiography to find sex scenes of them together. That's worse. She says, I can't have him in real life, but I can learn what he's like in bed to aid in all my fantasies I'm probably going to have about him. What the fuck? Oh my God! Back in memoir world, in this chapter, Verity, with her whole entire chest, admits to neglecting her children. Wild that you would put this in a memoir. Or even if you work in publishing, it's just like admitting to this stuff is crazy. So she talks about how Jeremy would go off to work and she would stay home to write. She would unplug the baby monitor and just like let the twins just cry all day. She wouldn't check on them. She wouldn't go to them. She wouldn't feed them or do anything for them. Like 5 minutes before Jeremy would get home, she would like change their diapers and feed them so they would shut the fuck up. And so it looked like she was was this great parent because they were never crying when Jeremy came home because they were finally being tended to after hours. First of all, absolutely insane that you would do that. Second of all, crazy to put it in your memoir. I cannot emphasize enough how much graphic sex is in the memoir. I swear it's probably every page. Yeah, Lowen is still very much attracted to Jeremy. It's so messy. When I open the door, Jeremy is standing in the hallway. His hair is damp and he's wearing a white t-shirt with a pair of black pajama bottoms. This is my favorite look on him. Barefoot, casual, easygoing. It's sexy as hell and I hate how attracted to him I am. Would I even be attracted to him if it weren't for the intimate details I've read of him in the manuscript? What? Oh my god. So you remember how Lowen deals with some sleepwalking. The next morning, she wakes up in Verity's literal hospital bed with Verity in it. When I say morning, it's like 3 a.m. This freaks Lowen out, so she screams. Jeremy comes running. He's like, what the fuck happened? And she's like, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to, but like, I just slept walk and I woke up here and like, I feel really bad. And he's like, no, it's fine. Like, things happen. Lowen can't go back to sleep because she's so freaked out because she's like, what if I go back to sleep and then sleepwalk back into Verity's room? Jeremy stays with her. They cuddle until Lowen falls asleep. It's after 6 when he assumes I'm asleep. His arm moves and his fingers end up in my hair for a moment. It's quick as the kiss he plants on the side of my head, but his actions linger long after he leaves the bedroom and closes the door. Y'all are both messy. After the sleepwalking incident, the next morning, Jeremy suggests that they put a lock on the outside of Lowen's room. Crazy Town, USA. Have we heard of like fire safety? I mean, I guess she's on the ground floor, but still, don't put a lock on the outside of someone's room. That feels scary. But surprisingly, Lowen is all for this idea. She thinks it's a great idea. What could possibly go wrong? It really seems like Lowen is not doing any work actually on the project at hand because she's just flirting with Jeremy and like reading this memoir. She reads another chapter of Verity's memoir. Verity is fucking crazy, but she seems to be forming a bit of an attachment to Chasten. She still doesn't give a fuck whether Harper lives or dies, I swear to God, but like she has a connection with Chasten. So one night, Verity has a dream that Harper kills Chasten. She like thinks this might be a premonition. She's afraid that Harper is going to kill Chasten because that's what her dream is telling her. So after this dream, she wakes Jeremy up so they can boink because she is weirdly jealous of her infant children. But while they're doing it, one of the babies starts crying and Jeremy's like, I'll get it. And Verity's like, no, like, I'll get it. Because she's hoping that it's Chasten because she likes Chasten now. Turns out it's Harper. So because of this dream she had and because Harper is annoying her in this moment, Verity tries to kill her infant daughter. Her sort of rationale is that she has to kill Harper before Harper kills Chasten. This scene is so graphic and upsetting. Like, I'm baffled at how this even came out of someone's brain, truthfully. And in general, this whole book, yeah, there's like murder and children die and that's sad. It's not graphic. Until this scene, it comes out of nowhere. Anyway, it doesn't work. Like, Harper ends up being okay. So obviously, like any normal empathetic human, after reading this bit, Lowen is a bit upset. But she's about to keep reading, and then Jeremy shows up, and he's like, where have you been? You've been in the office for a while. It's like past 10. You should have dinner. And he's like, I made tacos. So they end up sitting on the deck, watching a meteor shower, and eating tacos together, and they bond. They're talking about their childhoods and whatever. Okay, so you remember in the beginning of the book when Jeremy told Lowen that the reason he had picked her was because Verity really liked her writing? Turns out that was a load of bullshit, a fat lie. The reason Jeremy had picked Lowen was because he liked her writing. He loved her books. And he's like, your writing really matters to me, Lowen. And then, at the end of the night, he literally locks her in her bedroom, and then she goes to sleep. The lock on the outside of the door is crazy. So Lowen reads another chapter of the memoir before she goes to bed. In this chapter, it's a couple years on. The girls are like in kindergarten now, or maybe preschool, like they're older. And Jeremy has started to notice that Verity only likes Chasten and only talks about Chasten and doesn't seem to give a flying fuck about Harper. Since the kids are getting older now, he's like, they're gonna start to notice. Like, Harper notices that you favor her sister and it doesn't make her feel good. Like, that is gonna do some psychological damage on a child. He gets so angry that he throws this plate of dinner like against the wall, and Verity is like, obviously I don't treat them the same. You can't treat children the same. They're each their own individual people. Verity is fully gaslighting Jeremy. For some reason, he believes her, and then she tells Jeremy that since now she's making enough money with writing, he should quit his job to stay home with their 3 kids. And he's like, what do you mean 3 kids? And she's like, I'm pregnant. And she was lying. When I tell you, my jaw was on the floor. I was on this airplane like this. I was so invested. Everyone in this book is insane, is batshit goddamn crazy. So that night, Lowen is sitting in the living room watching HGTV. And Jeremy comes in and he starts chatting. He's like, haha, like working hard or hardly working. Verity used to watch TV when she couldn't have any ideas for her book, when she had writer's block, blah, blah, blah. Lowen says that she had already submitted the outline for the first book, so she's probably going to be leaving in a couple days. And then also, it turns out, it's Lowen's birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday, queen. She's turning 32. And Jeremy's like, you're kidding. So he makes her a cake. They're eating the cake, and then they literally kiss. Be so for real right now. You're kissing. He doesn't drop the cake. Instead, he leans across me and places it on the table. In the same fluid movement, he brings his hand to my head and presses his lips to mine. Even after all the anticipation I've held for this moment, it still feels completely unexpected. Get the fuck out of here. No, you're not kissing right now. No. I refuse. I don't believe it. They're about to boink. And then Lowen opens her eyes. She sees Verity, like, standing there. She's just standing there watching her husband as his mouth roams over my breast. Oh my god. Okay. Verity's fists clench at her side before she rushes back in the direction of her room. Lowen is like, oh my god, that was Verity. She was standing up at the top of the stairs. She was watching all this. And Jeremy's like, no, she wasn't. But, like, sure, we can go check if that'll make you feel better. They go upstairs to check. She's in her bed, like, she hasn't moved. Lowen brings up her suspicions to Jeremy. And he's like, you're crazy. Because obviously you can't fake being in a coma. I mean, I'm no medical professional, but like, it doesn't feel like something you're able to fake. Lowen is still freaking out, so Jeremy is like, we can get a lock for the outside of Verity's door as well. So that's what they do. They decided to lock Verity into her room every night, just like they lock Lowen into her room. Lowen reads another chapter of the book. Turns out, Verity gets pregnant with Crew just mere weeks after lying to Jeremy about being pregnant. One day, both of the girls are having a sleepover with one of their friends. Jeremy and Verity get a phone call that Chasten is in anaphylactic shock. She's been rushed to the hospital, but she ends up dying. Can we talk about peanut allergies for a second? What the fuck? What do you mean you can be taken out by a peanut? Children with peanut allergies, whatever, pop off. That's your journey. But like a grown adult who's allergic to peanuts, it's a little embarrassing. Peace and love. This is not a safe space for people with peanut allergies. Like, I respect you as a person. I just don't respect that you're allergic to peanuts. That's crazy. So anyway, Verity thinks that Harper gave Chasten a peanut to kill her. Every time I looked at Harper, I could see her guilt. I had been waiting on this to happen for years. I knew from the moment when they were 6 months old that Harper would find a way to kill her. Lowen and Jeremy are hanging out, and Lowen suggests that Jeremy put Verity in like a home or something. She's known this family for a week, maybe a week and a half. Not your place to suggest that, okay? And even after all of that, Jeremy and Lowen boink. Lowen basically recreates one of the sex scenes from Verity's memoir. Weird. Strange. I have to wonder, Colleen, babe, how did this come from your brain? This book is batshit insane from start to finish. There's not a moment of peace in this entire book. Jeremy, like, low-key loves Lowen more than he likes his own wife. I loved her. She was my wife. But sometimes I wasn't sure we really knew each other. We lived together, but it's as if our worlds weren't connected. Lowen is like, did you eventually find that connection? And he goes, not like I had hoped, but I felt something close to it, a fleeting intensity that proved a deeper connection can exist. Several weeks ago, in a random coffee shop bathroom with a woman who wasn't my wife. He's in love with her. They're in love. Jeremy accidentally falls asleep, like in Lowen's bedroom. They wake up, and the door is literally locked from the outside. Lowen is like, Verity for sure locked us in, and she's probably gonna kidnap Crew, which unhelpful in this situation. Maybe think before you speak, okay? So Jeremy like breaks the window to go unlock the door. Crew is fine. Verity is still in bed because she is unresponsive. Anyway, memoir chapter. So this is the chapter where Harper dies. One day, Jeremy goes out to get groceries or something. I don't actually remember. I don't actually give a fuck. He's out of the house for some reason. Verity verbally berates Harper and is like, you don't even care that your sister's dead. Are you even sad? Like, you've never cried? And Harper's like, yeah, I am sad. It was literally my twin sister. This is all just like even more horrendously awful when you remember that Harper has autism. Verity is verbally berating her autistic child for not showing emotions in the like appropriate way. So Verity takes Harper and Crew out on the canoe. Same canoe that Crew was conceived in. I am obliged to point that out. Like, legally I'm obligated to say that, unfortunately. So they go out on the water and Verity tells Crew to hold his breath, and then they capsize the boat. Verity Verity grabs Crew, gets him to the shore, and then like goes out in the water again to like pretend to find Harper, but actually she's like making sure that Harper didn't find any air pockets and she's not actually swimming. First of all, you have a lake on your property. I would hope that you have taught your children how to swim. That wouldn't have made a difference anyway, because Verity is actively trying to kill this child. So she tells Crew to go call Jeremy and to call the police, and then she puts on this performance of a lifetime trying to like save her daughter. And Jeremy gets back. He is obviously devastated, especially because Jeremy is the one to find Harper's body. Babe, he's not coming back from that. He will never be the same. For one brief moment, Verity is like, damn, I kind of fucked up. I think I have ruined my husband's life. Obviously you ruined your husband's life. What? She was like, yeah, like, he's not gonna love me anymore. He's just gonna be fucking sad. Duh. Both of his daughters have died within months of each other. After reading that Verity killed her one daughter, Lowen vomits, takes a Xanax, and goes to bed. And the next morning, she wakes up to Jeremy kissing her. Ick. Gross. Don't do that. This is super minor, but why are all these books recently using the word petrichor? First, it was in The Love Hypothesis, and now it's here. And I'm like, why this word? It's not a commonly used word. It's like scent of pavement after it rains. They use it all the time in The Love Hypothesis. And in this book, she's like, I wake up and he smells like petrichor. Huh? Also, like, I don't think people smell like that. It's like pavement that smells like that. Anyway, Jeremy and Lowen boink. And then he asks her to stay another week. I cannot speak these words on the internet. I fear that I will cease to exist. I think I would die of embarrassment if I had to utter these words aloud on this here World Wide Web. That would be part of my digital footprint forever. If you're reading along with me, it's page 268. Let's just say Lowen uses gravity to increase the chances of having a child. Lowen and Crew are hanging out like socially and making sandwiches. And then Lowen asks Crew about Verity. Lowen is like, Crew, why did the boat tip over? Crew says, Mommy said I shouldn't talk to you if you ask me questions about her. That's suspicious. Lowen tries to like ask follow-up questions and Crew bites down. Crew bites down on a knife, but like with the blade upwards, so it goes into his gums. Okay. One thing about me, I don't fuck with gums or teeth in any way. I can't even speak. I hate teeth. Teeth and like gums. I have a physical visceral reaction. Sorry, I had to take a little break because the teeth stuff really skeeved me out. Also, I had to switch over my laundry. Crew bit down onto the knife and he needs to get stitches. But the thing is that they can't leave Verity alone in the house. Jeremy is like, Lowen, I hate to say this, but can you please stay with Verity while I take Crew to the hospital? Lowen is freaked out, so she decides to set a baby monitor up in Verity's room to like see if she can see anything mysterious going on, or if she's faking. She decides to read more of the manuscript. Back in Bookworld, Verity is being questioned by the police about the like death of her daughter. Obviously, she was the only one that was there, but she's putting on the performance of a lifetime. She must be a good fucking actor because everyone believes her. All the police are like, yeah, that checks out. So the investigation is over. They're going on with their life. One night, Jeremy is like, why did you tell Crew to hold his breath, Verity? Jeremy does not buy her bullshit. Now, Verity knows that Jeremy will never forgive her, as he honestly fucking shouldn't. So the last line of the memoir is, maybe he'll report me to the police. Maybe he'll want me to suffer for what I did to her. If that's the case, so be it. I'll just drive my car into a tree. And then that is the end of the manuscript. Lowen finishes reading it, closes it, looks over at the baby monitor. I am frozen in place as I stare at the baby monitor. Verity is on the floor on her hands and knees. At this point, I think Jeremy is back from the hospital. And then before Lowen can open her camera app and like take a picture, Verity crawls back in bed and then like goes back into her sort of comatose position. Lowen feels like she's losing her mind. So she goes into Verity's room with a knife and is like, I know you're lying. Move or I'm gonna stab you. Jeremy comes up and he's like, what the fuck are you doing? Respectfully, you are insane. Actually, disrespectfully, you're fucking crazy. So Lowen hands Jeremy the manuscript and is like, I hate to do this, read this. This will explain everything. Jeremy reads it randomly really fast and he walks into Verity's room and is like, hey bitch, if you don't wake the fuck up right now, I'm gonna take this to the police and then you're gonna go to jail if you don't tell me what's going on. Verity starts talking like normal, like nothing happened. I was aghast and agog. What does agog mean? Define agog. Oh, it is a word.
Agog.
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 agog, very eager and curious to hear or see something. So I'm agog to see what happens, to see what's gonna happen next. Verity wakes up and starts talking like nothing happened, like everything is normal. Verity begins to shake her head adamantly. I had to, Jeremy, she says, sitting up on the bed. I cannot even lie. I am straight up chuckling over here. How did Colleen Hoover come up with that? Is it even possible to fake that sort of condition? I really don't think it is. This is straight up the most hilarious plot twist this book could have taken. I was laughing out loud on the plane. I'm gonna be so real and transparent and vulnerable with you right now. If this is where the book had ended, I would have been 100% on board. It's so unserious, but like so entertaining. But unfortunately, it keeps fucking going and then decides to ruin everything. It goes so fucking far off the rails, you're not even ready. Jeremy starts to strangle Verity. And Lowen is like, stop. Like, if you strangle her, everyone will know that you killed her, and then Crew will have lost both of his parents. So they come up with a little plan to kill Verity, but make it look like an accident. Basically, they decide to, like, make her throw up and then cover her mouth and nose so that she, like, aspirates on her own vomit. So they kill Verity. And then the next morning, they call the police. It's just like Verity died of natural causes. She vomited, she aspirated it, and then she died. If that is where the book ended, if we did not have a last chapter, this would have been like a book that I unironically recommend to people. But then the next chapter is 7 months later. Immediately I'm angry. Immediately I am over it. Guess fucking what? Lowen is pregnant with Jeremy's child. What if I dropped dead right now? What would you do? There are not enough words in the English language to convey how much I fucking hate everything that is going on right now. She's pregnant, they're starting their little family, whatever. They decide to sell the Vermont house and buy a new house. They buy a new house in North Carolina with Verity's literal life insurance money, but since they're selling the Vermont house, they have to like clean it out. So they're cleaning the house and Crew is like, wait a second, I have to get pictures out of my mom's floor. Turns out there's a secret hole in one of the floorboards of Verity's room where she kept things. Lowen looks through it. There's the mysterious knife that went missing, a picture of Chasten and Harper, and a note. And this fucking letter, don't even get me started. Basically, the note is like, my memoir was a little haha joke. It was basically just a writing exercise. So here's what happened. Essentially, after Verity wrote the first installment of her series, she couldn't figure out how to continue being a villain, so she had someone, like a friend or someone, suggest writing her life as though she was a terrible person. And so the entire memoir is just like her fictionalizing her life as though she was the worst person in the fucking world. So it wasn't real, so just all pretend. It's called antagonistic journaling. So basically, it was all just like a funny little joke. Couple reasons why that doesn't make sense. First of all, the author's note at the beginning of the book. Do you remember it? Where she was like, I'm actually gonna just be so completely honest. If this was well written, if Colleen Hoover was doing a good job and not just wanting to do like a weird plot twist for the fucking fuck of it, the author's note logically should be, hey, this was a writing exercise to write about my life from like the worst possible perspective. Why is the author's note like, and this is all true 100% fact. Oh, I'm so mad. Colleen Hoover, I'm speaking directly to you, babe. I'm speaking directly to Miss Colleen Hoover herself. What an awful way to end this book. You're gonna like just destroy the entire plot of your entire fucking book? It didn't need that. There was already the twist that Verity was alive, and like, yeah, it was a twist that everyone could see coming. You didn't need to Uno reverse your entire goddamn book. Who told you that was a good idea? I'm so mad. I'm so angry. I'm like seething. I'm seething with rage right now. Lowen finds this letter and she's like, oh shit, if Jeremy ever finds out, he's gonna be crushed because he killed his innocent wife. What Lowen decides to do, she decides to eat the letter. Hey, have you heard of fire or flushing it down the toilet, or maybe like burning it and then flushing it down the toilet? Why would you eat it? You're stupid. The end. That's the end. That's the end. So I guess I have final thoughts, perhaps. Genuinely, I enjoyed the book until the end, where I have never been more let down or disappointed by a book in my entire life. Just like baffled. You're gonna ruin your entire book in the last 10 pages of it? Who does that? I'm just sad because the rest of it is a good book. Not great, not amazing, but like solidly a good book. I'm being so completely honest with you when I tell you that every single person in my life, I have been telling them to read this book just so that we can suffer together. I have read a couple more Colleen Hoover books. I know that we're probably sick of the Colleen Hoover train, but I'm fascinated by this woman's mind. Yeah, that might be it. As always, I have a Goodreads and an Instagram. It's all linked down in my description. I also have like a Google form where you can suggest bad books. Bye-bye. Goodbye. Farewell.